My PTSD story. 5 months after being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, the doctors asked me to keep a journal. I was too young to write, so my mom scribed for me. As a child, I didn't understand the severity of this particular night, but it shows me the miserable effects of fear and anxiety. I said that some days I wish I didn't have to live anymore because I wish I could be more like my friends. I believe God never intended for us to feel pain or fear. And one day I asked my dad, what was I like before being diagnosed with PTSD? He said, you were fearless. I loved thrills and I looked for adventure. But one evening on my search for the next thrill, I hopped on a carnival ride called the Octopus. Within a few minutes on the ride, I thought I was going to throw up. I became completely hysterical for the entire ride at the thought of thinking I'm going to throw up. And for the next 3 years, my family and my life became controlled by this one single fear. The primary care doctor wanted me to be placed in an in-house mental health facility, and that's when my family realized the seriousness of PTSD. This intro is sad, but the rest of my story is not. I made a full recovery. I got married to a man who encourages me to seek out adventure, and we do thrills together. Our newest adventure has led us to Dallas, Texas. For a season in my life, I traveled and sang as a drummer and a worship leader. And while being on the road, I became aware of how not by myself that I was. Anxiety and anxiety disorders and fear are taking people over. So I created a 501c3 called Discover Fearless, in order to help people discover a more fearless life. I see this in Peter's life. In the Bible, it talks about a man. Peter was the one who cut off the ear of the soldier who was taking Jesus when he was crucified. It was the same Peter who, when Jesus was being taken, started to curse and say, I don't know who this Jesus is. He completely denied Jesus, and he was completely overcome with fear. That same Peter goes on in his life to do some miraculous things and have extreme courage and be a completely fearless person. And that's what I believe God does for us. We may not have to go to the sense of being a martyr or have to experience something that intense, but God does something in our hearts that makes us completely fearless. And it's a journey that we're placed on. It's usually not an overnight thing. Not that it can't be overnight, but it usually is a process. I've launched a podcast to dive into topics that might help someone else. I've launched a blog at discoverfearless.com, and I love to write music too. I've written a few songs, and some of them have been played on the radio. I believe we can be victorious over these areas that control our lives, and I want to dedicate myself to helping people. I'm not a counselor or a doctor. I'm just a girl who struggles with the hard questions and has been through it. Finding the right help and maintaining hope is the hardest part. There were times I thought I'd kick my disorder in the butt, only to find it raised its head again. A visual of my life with PTSD was like a Weeble Wobble, the little toys that have the rounded bottoms that are always just wobbling around. When I had PTSD, I got the Weeble Wobble Foundation, and God is, His hand holds me steady. That's what our relationship has been like. Even though that there's pain and fear and hard things in this life, God has always given me hope and joy and peace anytime I depend on Him in my fear. Even though I'm not 100% fearless every single moment and every single day, I am a much more fearless person because I discover it more each and every day, each and every week. And so I share these things with you on this blog and through podcasting and music. And there is so much hope for you, so please stay in touch, and hopefully God will use my struggles and the things that I've learned to help you. Check out discoverfearless.com to stay in touch and look for more blog posts, podcasts, music, and videos that'll be coming your way. Love, Meagan and Caleb.